Over the next 90 minutes, you're going to see mugshots scrolling right here in the corner of your screen. Now, these are some of the most wanted fugitives in our community. We're working with law enforcement from the Brunswick County Sheriff's Office, the New Hanover County Sheriff's Office, and WPD to highlight some of these perps. These are some of the people that they want off the streets, and the crimes, they range from attempted murder to various drug charges to larceny. So over the next 90 minutes, we're going to be talking to authorities from these agencies, highlighting some of these suspects. You may have noticed there are mugshots that are scrolling in the corner of your screen. Pay attention to those. If you know where any of those suspects are, you're asked to call the number that you see scrolling on your screen as well. These are some of the most wanted suspects in our community. We want to highlight a few of them, so that's why we have Sheriff Ed McMahon here from the New Hanover County Sheriff's Office. So tell me a little bit, two of the cases that you wanted to highlight included Ronald David Champion. Tell me a little bit about him. Who is this guy?
Sure. Mr. Champion is a registered sex offender, and they are required to give us their current addresses. We found out that he was not where he said he was, so we obtained the felony warrants, something we take very seriously. Any registered sex offenders must give us their current addresses.
Yeah, so it's serious because you want to know where these people are so you can alert the community as to where, if they have a sex offender who lives next door, right?
Absolutely, and it is something, again, that we take very seriously, and we are always checking addresses, so if they're not where they're supposed to be, then we take out the warrants.
Okay, and you see Ronald Champion on your screen right now. You said you wanted to highlight Anthony Anderson. He's wanted for attempted first-degree murder. Tell me a little bit about this.
Yes, Mr. Anderson is wanted for attempted first-degree murder. He is actually from the Navassa area. It's a case that the Navassa PD is actually investigating, but he is wanted in our area, so we wanted to make sure we brought his information to you. He is also wanted for assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill and inflict serious injury, as well as possession of a firearm by a felon. Mr. Anderson is a validated gang member and has a history of drug-related charges as well as armed robbery.
So this is a person that obviously the streets would be safer if he were behind bars. That's how you guys feel, right?
Most definitely, and we encourage anyone with information as to his whereabouts to please give us a call. Give a call here this afternoon on the tip line. Any information is much appreciated.
So check this out. First, this man, Paul Nobles, was captured as a result of our crackdown. Here you see him in the back of a police car. Someone called in a tip to a hotline we had set up during our 6 o'clock newscast. Well, our cameras were there as police followed up on that tip and arrested Nobles. He's facing charges for felony larceny, obtaining property by false pretenses, and possession of stolen goods. Officers say he stole some scrap metal and sold it for cash. His first court appearance is tomorrow. Now let's take a closer look at two of the suspects who are still out there tonight. This is Tiffany Miller. She is wanted for embezzlement and forgery. And this is Anne-Marie Bach. Wilmington police also want her on forgery charges. Police say both of these women committed similar crimes. They're accused of forging checks, writing them out to themselves, and taking the cash. Corporal Leslie Irving with WPD says it's a crime they're seeing quite often.
People either find checkbooks that's laying around, write it to them instead of recipients and go to the bank in cash, or they'll take a check, get the account number off and make fake checks, and then it's a correct account number, but it's a fraudulent check, and then they write it to themselves or their friends or family members and get it cash on a actual open account.
Well, we got a ton of tips while our hotline was open earlier today, and officers are following up on those tips tonight. We'll let you know if any more arrests happen. Now, here's what you do if you know where any of the suspects that we're featuring are hiding. You can call Crime Stoppers at 800-531-9845 or call your local police or sheriff's office. We have those numbers listed, plus a slideshow of all the fugitives. That's on our website, WECT.com. First tonight, we're cracking down on crime. You may notice in the corner of your screen, right under where I'm pointing, we have some mugshots there. we're working with local law enforcement to feature some of the most wanted suspects in our area tonight. Welcome back. We are cracking down on crime here at WECT News today, and Sheriff John Ingram is joining me right now from Brunswick County. They provided some of these suspects that you're seeing scrolling behind us, and some of them that are down on the corner of your screen, part of our crackdown on crime. Now, I want to ask you about a couple of suspects that you provided to us. The first one, Danielle Wertman. She's from Charlotte. Can you tell me a little bit about what she's wanted for?
Yes, she was involved in dealing ecstasy, known as MDMA, and in several areas of our county, throughout our county. We have several warrants on her for possession with intent to sell and deliver, and a number of other things regarding heroin and marijuana. So she's been very active in our county, and we're trying to apprehend her.
Oh, and it sounds like our phones are already ringing. You know what? I'm just going to answer this phone right now here. WECT. Yeah, we're on live right now. Can you hang on 1 second and I'll get to your call in just a minute. We're already getting people calling in with tips. You see the number there on the bottom of your screen. If you know where any of these suspects are, you're asked to just call us here. We'll write down the tips. We're going to give them to Sheriff Ingram in Brunswick County. Hopefully get some of these people who are wanted for crimes off the street. We are cracking down on crime here at WECT tonight, working with Wilmington Police, the New Hanover County Sheriff's Office, and Brunswick County Sheriff's Office to highlight some of the most wanted individuals in our community. Coming up, we'll have a live report. Stay tuned. One of the men we are highlighting here tonight, his name is Peter Shaw. Wilmington Police Corporal Leslie Irving tells us why he's on their list.
He's a really big nuisance because of a lot of people forget to lock their doors, and they leave all types of valuables between handguns, you have all electronic devices, and people prey on those individuals who become preoccupied. So they are a weight on us as weight on society in a whole.
We got a lot of tips during our 5 o'clock newscast and 6 o'clock newscast that officers are following up on. You can see all of the most wanted suspects are on our website, WECT.com, and Wilmington Police say the most violent criminals aren't on this list. They're usually captured pretty quickly due to their partnership with the U.S. Marshal Service. New Hanover County and Brunswick County also gave us a list of suspects and their mugshots. We have a slideshow of those right now on WECT.com. 28 years ago tomorrow, a 30-year-old father was beaten to death. His killers were never found. Tonight, his family is asking for your help to crack the case.
He knows I love him. I tell him every day.
All these years later, thinking about her brother still brings tears to Patricia Rongoat's eyes.
I was allowed 29 years with him, and now it's 28 years later. And that's like half of my life now that he's been out of my life.
Gone because someone took his life. On a cold January day in 1986, Randy left home and never returned.
He'd come over to the couch, took my face like he always did, like this, and he kissed me and he says, "Mama, I love you more than anything."
The next day, police found his body in Optimus Park on Front Street. He was beaten to death.
I just can't understand why they were so cruel to my son. Couldn't understand it.
This video from the scene shows officers collecting evidence and poring over his car, which his attackers drove into a ditch in the park. But investigators were never able to crack the case, and his killers are still out there today. Police believe that whoever killed Randy targeted him for a reason, because he was gay.
It was hard of him being gay, period.
Patricia says Randy tried for years to live as a straight man. He even got married and had a daughter. But eventually, Patricia says they divorced and her brother came out in the early 80s.
He was Randy. I mean, if he wanted to dress up and do a show, we supported him. We went out to the gay bars with him. Mom and I particularly would go with him, and he'd go with us to the straight bars. You know, it didn't matter.
Planning a memorial to mark the anniversary of his death, Patricia and her mother are going through old videos and pictures, remembering the good times they shared with Randy. But the process also brings them pain because they still don't have justice.
Please, please, let us know who killed my son. I want to know. I'm 80 years old and I don't want to die without knowing. I don't. I couldn't rest in peace.
I talked to the detective working to solve this murder. He says they recently re-examined the case. They've been conducting a whole new round of interviews. They've also gone over the evidence. They're trying to figure out which pieces to send for retesting at the state crime lab. Well, tomorrow his family is planning a memorial for the anniversary of his death. It'll be at 3 o'clock at Optimist Park. Also, if you have any information that can help police solve this case, call Crime Stoppers at the number you see there on your screen. Kava is made from the roots of a shrub that grows in the South Pacific. It can either be served as a drink, as you see people here drinking it, or in pill form. And many people who use kava say it helps them relax. Now we want to talk about kratom as well. It's a stimulant, and in the UK they even call it herbal speedball. It comes from a tropical tree that grows in Thailand. It can also be served in a pill form or in a tea, and in some countries and even a few states, kratom is illegal, but not here in North Carolina.
It's a happy feeling. It's kind of a happy euphoria, a pick-me-up.
William Farrell is describing the feeling he gets when drinking kratom tea. He's one of the regulars at Cat 5 Kava. It's a kratom and kava bar in downtown Wilmington.
I think I just started coming here to hang out, and it's kind of evolved into this thing where I bring my work here and I drink the tea and the kava, and you know, it just helps.
Farrell says kratom is a bit like drinking coffee, but stronger. He drinks it to give him energy for his late-night DJ gigs downtown.
It is more of a pick-me-up than coffee is. But now I think coffee, you kind of get used to that after a while.
Ben Boyette, who owns Cat 5 Kava, says kratom comes from a plant that is closely related to the coffee plant, and more people are coming into the business to try it.
All ages, all variations. I have college students, I have doctors, lawyers, law enforcement.
Some drink the kratom for energy. Others drink kava to relax. Both times we stopped by Cat 5, the place was packed, nearly every seat taken. So I wanted to see why. First, I tried kava, which is served in small coconut shells. But before the taste test, I was warned about what to expect.
We've had it described as Cape Fear River water. Somebody said it tastes like summer camp. Most people say it tastes like mud.
Almost immediately, the kava makes your mouth numb. The taste, though, so bad. I followed it with some kratom, which tastes like strong tea. Neither drink is particularly appetizing, so I asked Boyette, why do people sit around here sipping this stuff?
In between classes, taking their lunch break, from a stressful day at the office, so they come in real quick for some shells, and that way they don't have alcohol. You don't lose mental clarity. You keep that, unlike alcohol where you black out. If you're taking a shot of tequila, it doesn't taste good either, but people still do it.
And some people are doing it, specifically kratom, because it's helping them recover from heroin addiction. Boyette says he has some customers who are recovering addicts.
If they are, and it's helping them come down and stop them from using that, then I'm not going to complain.
Still, at least 3 states have banned kratom, and others are considering a ban.
They banned it because people have been comparing it to heroin. It's wrongfully compared. It should be compared to coffee is what it's a stimulant.
While Boyette says both kratom and kava are safe, addiction experts we talk to say they have concerns.
They're basically things that people are using legally that are, they mimic. In other words, they're acting like opiate or opioid drugs.
Kenny House, Vice President of Clinical Services at Coastal Horizon Center, says there are no studies on kratom and how it could impact the health of those who drink it.
We do know that it has stimulant effects. In higher doses, you can have hallucinogenic effects from it, that it's going to have some health consequences.
He doesn't recommend recovering addicts use these substances to wean themselves off of stronger drugs. and he's concerned about their overall use.
It's not safe, and one of the challenges is it's not approved by the FDA, so nobody's regulating it, nobody really knows what's happening, what they're really getting, and so those are concerns that we have from the health perspective.
But back at Cat 5, Kratom and kava drinkers tell us they have no concerns about the drinks.
It's earthly. I mean, so I would assume that, you know, it doesn't have any ill effects. I still get up bright and early, do what I got to do during the day. Health is fine.
And they plan to keep on sipping. Now, even though these substances are legal, they do have the ability to impair you. Officers, you'll recall, are specifically trained to look for impairment in drivers, no matter what the cause, be it alcohol or prescription pills or substances like kratom and kava. We're here with Orlando Jones, one of the stars of Sleepy Hollow. Thanks so much for coming to our studio today.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
We're so excited to have you here. And, you know, the show had its first episode last week. For those who didn't see it, and there's just a small little bit of people who maybe didn't see it, tell us a little bit about the show. It's a completely new, crazy concept, right?
It is. It is. So the war between good and evil is back on. George Washington gave an assassination order to Ichabod Crane, who killed a Hessian soldier, chopped his head off, and their bloodlines mixed, and now the war is back on. And one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse, who is the Headless Horseman, is riding again. Sleepy Hollow.
Welcome to Sleepy Hollow.
Welcome to the party.
and tell me about your character. Where do you fit into this?
So I like to say I'm from Manhattan. I'm not from Sleepy Hollow. I was probably sitting on my sofa watching Wendy Williams because she's awesome. Hey, Wendy. And basically I get a call that a reverend and a sheriff have been killed, and I get sent down to sort of make some sense out of what's happening. So that's how I arrive into the story. And I'm pretty much the skeptic. I'm the person who's trying to make sense of it. But then you don't know if I'm good or evil.
Yeah, and you don't really buy his storyline.
Well, it sounds crazy that a guy with no head is running around with a blade heated above 500 degrees and he's chopping people. I mean, come on, that's cuckoo for Cocoa Town. That makes no sense. So I'm definitely, you know, that person, but I think also because we don't want you to just believe the premise, we kind of want to earn it.
You want somebody to be skeptical. Somebody needs to be the skeptic.
Yeah, I think, you know, Kurtzman Northey and the creators really wanted that to be an important part of the premise.
And there's a bit of humor here. It's not just action adventure.
It's hilarious.
It's hilarious. One of your lines was, there are rose bushes on every corner.
Yeah, there's
what
like,
the heck is going on
what's
here?
going on here? I mean, and watching Ichabod Crane play with like the car window, like a 5-year-old, is hilarious because, you know, thinking of it as somebody who fought for this country to exist wakes up 250 years later to see what the country has become. And that's kind of a cool idea, but he doesn't know anything, and that's a fun part of it, I guess.
And Orlando, you were at the screening just a couple weeks ago that we had here in Wilmington, and you were talking to the audience, and I just remember when you said you were from Greenville, South Carolina,
Right.
There was just this big cheer. Everybody was so happy to welcome a Southerner back, I guess.
Which was, because I was like, are you all from Greenville? Like, what is going on?
You said Greenville, and everyone was, woo!
Yeah! No, I'm totally a Southerner, and always fun to be back. And, you know, I filmed in Wilmington before, but it's a beautiful town. It's nice to be back.
And what did you miss about being in the South, living in LA for as long as you've been out here? Have you partaked in anything that's...
First of all, you know, Amy's Bowl is kind of awesome. Flamin' Bowl, you got to go to, love it. But my neighbor brought me a peach cobbler yesterday.
Really?
Yeah, and that's, you know, it's one of those warm and fuzzy feelings you get about the South. So it's really nice to be back. That don't happen in New York or LA.
That is so cool.
Yeah,
so
it really
nobody's ever brought you a peach cobbler in LA?
No, not at all. An arrest warrant one time, got one of those, but no, joking. No peach cobbler.
So happy to be back. And how are you liking Wilmington?
I'm loving it now that it is cooler,
Yeah.
because it was extremely hot before. You see the last remnants of who I used to be. Now I'm a chocolate American because it's just hot. It's very hot. So it's nice to get in the cool part of the weather here.
And you've been filming on location at Screen Gems as well as out in the community. Anywhere cool that you've filmed so far?
Wow, we've been in the woods. We have been about an hour out of town. New Bern, we're going to right now. There's a lot of cool places. I really like the downtown area. It's grown so much since the last time I was here, and there are incredible restaurants. It's sort of nice to see a city, you know, once and then see it growing at the same time. It's a cool experience to be back.
Well, we love it, of course. We love Wilmington. So I guess just tell me, you know, we have just a couple seconds left. Why should people watch?
I think it's hard to say you can watch a blockbuster for free sitting in your living room, and that's kind of what Sleepy Hollow is. And the idea, at least from my mother, that we're following the story of the book of Revelations in the Bible is a big part of her appeal. Sleepy
That's why
Hollow.
your mom's watching, not just because you're on it.
No, she's like, you are fine, but the book of Revelations, that's important stuff. You know, that's Jesus, baby. And I'm like, yes, Mom, I'm familiar with him, yes.
Well, thanks for coming in. And of course, Sleepy Hollow airs on our sister station, FOX Wilmington, at 10 o'clock tonight. That'll be the second episode. And you can catch up on the first one. It is available for free on iTunes. Thanks, Orlando.
Thank you. Good to see you.